Have you ever felt unappreciated in a relationship? How do you recognize the signs when someone doesn't value you? In this video, inspired by Keanu Reeves' wisdom, we are going to share 4 key behaviors you need to identify to protect your own worth. Because a healthy relationship isn't just based on love, but also on respect and honest communication. Keep watching to discover valuable lessons that will help you build a meaningful connection. Relationships, where we seek genuine connection and deep emotional bonds, are always built on fundamental principles like trust, respect, and mutual appreciation. However, not all relationships are equal, and not everyone truly values the worth of their partner. In fact, in some cases, one person might disregard these fundamental principles, making the other feel as though they're not valued, as if they don't even exist in the relationship, and their worth is being overlooked. It's easy to overlook small signs in the hope that things will improve, but sometimes ignoring these signs can lead to even deeper emotional wounds and an imbalance in a relationship. Today, we will explore an important conversation about behaviors that indicate a man doesn't truly value you. These behaviors are not always obvious. Often, they are wrapped in logical excuses or disguised as normal. However, recognizing these signs is crucial for protecting your own value and ensuring you don't get stuck in a cycle of neglect, emotional manipulation, or disrespect. Today's conversation isn't about blaming anyone, but about raising awareness, so you can confront these behaviors, set boundaries, and make decisions to protect your mental well-being. When you understand these behaviors, you'll have the tools to face them, set limits, and make decisions that ensure you're always respected and cherished. By identifying these behaviors, we will shed light on unhealthy relationships and find ways to demand and deserve better in life. Let's start by identifying 4 main behaviors, clear signs that a man does not value you as a partner. Each of these behaviors doesn't reflect your worth, but rather a lack of ability or unwillingness to meet the standards of a healthy and respectful relationship. The first behavior is disdain and dismissing your opinions and feelings. This is one of the clearest signs that he doesn't value you. In any meaningful relationship, respect and understanding are core values. It's a space where each person feels heard, understood, and important. A clear example of this behavior is the story of Julia, a smart and beautiful woman who, for a long time, didn't receive any attention or respect from her boyfriend. Whenever Julia shared her thoughts or emotions, he always responded with phrases like, "Don't worry so much," or "It's not a big deal." These words made Julia feel like she had no right to feel anything, and her emotions didn't matter at all. Eventually, she realized that she no longer felt respected in the relationship. She decided to walk away and find herself again, returning to what she truly deserved. When a man frequently ignores or belittles your thoughts and feelings, it's a clear sign of disrespect and a lack of care for you. This behavior can take many forms, from subtle indifference to outright disregard, but its impact is deeply profound, making you feel invisible and unimportant. Disdain can start with small gestures, like a shrug when you share a personal success or a dismissive nod when you talk about something that matters to you. Over time, these small moments accumulate, and the hidden message becomes clear. What you think or feel doesn't matter to him. This not only damages your self-confidence, but also makes you question your self-worth, because he is sending a powerful message that your voice isn't important in this relationship. On the contrary, a man who truly values you will always listen sincerely, engage in deep conversations, and show concern for your perspective. Even if he doesn't always agree with you, that's normal. But at least he will respect your viewpoint and consider it valuable, just as he would his own. In contrast, a disrespectful partner might show his lack of concern by rolling his eyes, interrupting you, or even ignoring you while you're speaking. He might say things like, "You're overreacting, it's not that important," or "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" These words are not just disrespectful. They deny your feelings, sending the message that what you're feeling is just an exaggeration or meaningless. A clear example is the story of Sarah, a hardworking and meticulous girl in her job. Every time Sarah shared her accomplishments with her boyfriend, he would coldly respond, "Oh, anyone could do that." The growing sense of disappointment and hurt accumulated in Sarah's heart, slowly making her lose trust in herself. Although these words may seem harmless the first time they're said, when repeated, they eat away at Sarah's confidence, making her feel like she's not good enough. In fact, disdain isn't always immediately visible on the surface. Sometimes, it's disguised as sarcastic jokes, belittling remarks, or even blatant displays of contempt. He might diminish your efforts by saying, "Anyone could do that," or mock your concerns with comments like, "Always so dramatic." Though these words might not hurt you right away, when repeated over time, they gradually erode your sense of safety and self-esteem. Another behavior closely associated with disdain is the lack of emotional investment. A man who doesn't truly value you might shut himself off emotionally whenever you want to share your thoughts and feelings. Instead of opening up and engaging in an honest conversation, he might avoid the issue or show annoyance. If you express that you feel neglected, he might respond with, "What more do you want?" Instead of working with you to understand why you feel this way, he simply dismisses your emotions, making you feel like your worries aren't worth his attention. When a man doesn't care about your feelings and thoughts, this indifference doesn't just make you feel disregarded, but it also creates an invisible wall, preventing the resolution of issues within the relationship. This lack of participation doesn't just show in conversations, but is also evident in how he reacts, or rather doesn't react, to important events in your life. Whether it's a new achievement at work, a personal challenge, or even a small victory, his indifference can leave you feeling deeply hurt. A man who truly values you will always celebrate your accomplishments and stand by you during difficulties, even if he doesn't fully understand what you're going through. A person who truly values you will make an effort to understand your perspective, even if it challenges his beliefs or views. He will create a safe space where you can express your emotions without the fear of judgment or ridicule. On the other hand, indifference is a form of neglect. It's a lack of attention that will only grow over time and morph into even more toxic behaviors if left unaddressed. Recognizing this behavior early will empower you to establish boundaries, seek support, and ultimately prioritize your mental health over a relationship that dulls your self-worth. Another key sign that a man does not value you is when he consistently lacks interest and doesn't prioritize you in his life. In any healthy, fulfilling relationship, both parties need to put in effort, a steady, mutual contribution, not just one-sided. In a relationship, both individuals should feel that they have an important place in each other's lives, not just in words, but through actions. When a man repeatedly shows, through his choices and behaviors, that your needs, time, and emotional peace are not a priority, this is a clear message about how much value he places on a relationship. However, prioritizing a relationship doesn't mean he has to sacrifice everything for you every time you need him. Everyone has personal goals, responsibilities, and other relationships that require attention. But it does mean he must consistently demonstrate that you are important to him and that your presence in his life matters. A man who doesn't prioritize you will often place his personal hobbies, friends, or even other relationships above you. This lack of balance can easily lead to feelings of neglect, resentment, and emotional distance. One of the clearest signs of this is when he frequently doesn't have time for you. A true relationship requires effort from both sides, and one of the most important ways to show someone they matter is by spending time with them. A man who doesn't see you as a priority will often cancel plans, be late, or justify his behavior by saying he's too busy to spend time with you. While scheduling conflicts are inevitable, a pattern like this shows that you are not an important part of his life, and you may just be a second choice, not a true partner. Moreover, a refusal to adjust plans or make sacrifices to meet your needs is another clear sign of disrespect. For example, if he always chooses to spend time with friends, pursue personal hobbies, or work late without considering how that affects you, it shows that he doesn't truly care about you. In a healthy relationship, both individuals are willing to make sacrifices and adjustments to ensure that the other feels valued and supported. A man who refuses to do this is placing his own comfort and convenience above the relationship. Failing to prioritize you doesn't just affect external matters. It breaks down emotional intimacy between the two of you. When a man doesn't view you as a priority in his life, it may mean that he isn't truly invested in the relationship emotionally. Emotional closeness requires effort, time, and presence. If he's always too busy or inattentive, the emotional connection between the two of you will slowly fade. Without the proper attention, building a deep relationship, the foundation of a strong partnership, becomes nearly impossible. Even when you're together, you might feel alone, lost, as though you don't belong. A man who doesn't value you will often dismiss shared moments, important milestones, or even simple, quiet time spent together. These memories, special occasions, or peaceful moments like a simple evening together may mean nothing to him. He may forget significant dates, fail to recognize the effort you put into creating meaningful memories. It's this lack of attention to small details that will make you feel unimportant, as though your efforts are meaningless. Sometimes, failing to prioritize you is the result of him placing more importance on other relationships or aspects of his life. For example, if he always prioritizes his friends, family, or work without finding balance, this creates an imbalance in your relationship. Or if his personal ambitions or career always come before the relationship, this is a sign that he doesn't see you as a long-term priority. Furthermore, prioritizing you isn't just about being physically present. A man who truly values you will care about your emotional and mental well-being. He will always try to understand your needs, be there for you during important moments, and won't just listen to your concerns without offering support or solutions, because that would just be superficial attention, not true care for your feelings. When you're consistently overlooked, it greatly impacts your self-esteem and sense of worth. You'll begin to wonder if you're asking for too much, if you truly deserve the attention and respect from your partner. As time goes on, you may fall into a cycle of insecurity, feeling the need to do more, try harder, just to receive indifference in return. This feeling will leave you exhausted, emotionally drained. But remember, prioritizing you doesn't have to be through grand gestures. It's about consistency in the small, everyday actions, like checking in when you're feeling down or taking time to listen when you need to share. Setting aside time for a date or simply being present in meaningful conversations can make all the difference. A man who genuinely values you will always find ways to show you how important you are in his life through concrete actions rather than just words. He won't use work or other excuses to justify not prioritizing you, yet always makes time for others or other activities. This lack of perseverance and commitment will leave you feeling empty, as if you're not his top priority. For example, he may promise to spend time with you, to participate in important activities with you, but fails to follow through. This leaves you feeling disappointed, as if his words hold no weight. Even when he's physically present, the lack of communication is glaring. No calls, no texts, no effort to maintain a connection. Sometimes, even when he is there, his gaze is distant, his mind elsewhere, not truly focused on you, leaving you to face the emotional absence on your own. In a healthy relationship, prioritization is not just about being present, but also about balance and effort from both sides. A man who values you will make an effort to involve you in his decisions, respecting your time and needs as his own. For example, he will not hesitate to adjust his schedule to attend an important event with you or plan ahead to ensure you have quality time together, regardless of how busy his schedule is. These actions show that he views the relationship as a partnership, where you are an essential part of his life. When a man doesn't prioritize you, it's not just a choice on his part, but also a reflection of how he perceives the values in the relationship. A man who truly values you will naturally prioritize you, not because he has to, but because he genuinely wants to. Recognizing when you're being undervalued is the first step to standing up for yourself, demanding the respect and care you deserve in a relationship. Next, manipulation through neglect or criticism can be one of the most insidious yet profoundly damaging behaviors a man who doesn't value you can exhibit. This manipulation may not be as overt as other negative behaviors, such as yelling or threatening, but has a deep and lasting impact on your self-worth. Behaviors like neglecting you when you need him or frequently criticizing you not only hurt, but gradually erode your self-esteem. These actions are often cloaked in reasonable explanations, even justifications, or attempts to create an image of him as someone trying to help you. However, continuously engaging in these behaviors creates a relationship that lacks fulfillment, leaving you feeling inadequate, unsupported, or even trapped in emotional indifference. Neglect in a relationship is not merely the absence of physical presence, but often manifests through emotional neglect or failure to meet your needs. A man who doesn't value you may unintentionally or deliberately disregard your emotional, mental, or physical needs. This neglect conveys the message that your feelings, desires, and well-being are not important to him. Over time, the feeling of abandonment will grow more pronounced, and you will begin to question whether you truly have a place in his life, whether this relationship is truly worth it. Neglect can also manifest through a lack of effort. For instance, he might refuse to participate in activities or conversations that are important to you, dismissing them as not worthy of his time. Or, when you express concerns or issues, he may ignore them, making you feel unheard and unsupported. Worse yet, he may show indifference to significant events in your life, career milestones, family issues, or personal challenges. This indifference makes you feel that he does not see you or your life as worth his attention or energy. Moreover, neglect can be passive, such as being physically present but emotionally absent. A man who doesn't value you may sit beside you while constantly scrolling through his phone, barely noticing your presence. He may not ask about your day, show interest in your emotions, or even realize when you're feeling down. These seemingly small actions, when accumulated, create an emotional void in the relationship, making you feel unappreciated. One of the most manipulative aspects of neglect is how it makes you start questioning yourself. You may wonder if you're asking for too much, if you're truly deserving of his attention or care, leading to feelings of guilt or shame. This self-doubt makes neglect a powerful form of manipulation, shifting the blame onto you rather than holding him accountable for his lack of care and attention. Additionally, criticism is a common manipulative tool used by men who do not value you. While constructive feedback is normal in any relationship, constant criticism and belittling are forms of emotional manipulation meant to undermine your confidence and self-worth. A man who truly values you knows how to criticize gently and constructively, whereas a man who doesn't value you will seek to make you feel undeserving. Everything, from your appearance, personality, choices, to your feelings, can become a target for criticism. These criticisms are often disguised as caring or tough love. For instance, he might comment negatively on your body, claiming concern for your health, or criticize your career while saying that he just wants the best for you. While these words may sound like helpful advice, they're actually attempts to control how you perceive yourself, making you feel insecure and not good enough. In this way, he places himself in a position of higher value and judgment within the relationship. Furthermore, criticism may take the form of backhanded compliments, such as, "You're smarter than I thought," or "This outfit isn't bad. It might look nice on you." Though these seem like innocent remarks, they can gradually make you question yourself. These seemingly small comments accumulate over time, eroding your confidence and making you dependent on his approval. This is an exploitative relationship where you constantly seek his validation while he continuously disrespects you. Another manipulative feature of criticism is the inconsistency in his behavior. A man who doesn't value you may alternate between criticism and praise in an unstable manner, leaving you emotionally confused. For example, he might harshly criticize you today, but praise you the next day, creating an emotional roller coaster. This tactic, known as intermittent reinforcement, makes you constantly seek his approval, even though his behavior is truly disrespectful. The manipulation through neglect and criticism not only impacts the relationship, but also has far-reaching consequences on your psychological and emotional health. Over time, you will begin to internalize these criticisms and neglect, believing you are not worthy of attention, love, or respect. This leads to a vicious cycle of self-blame, where you feel the need to work harder to deserve his care and approval, despite the fact that the problem lies in his behavior, not your worth. These manipulative tactics can also isolate you from friends, family, or other sources of support. If he criticizes your relationships with others or makes you feel guilty for seeking help from them, you will gradually withdraw from those who could offer an objective perspective and reassurance. This isolation only deepens the sense of abandonment within a relationship. His control over your emotions makes it increasingly difficult to recognize the toxicity in this relationship. A man who manipulates you through neglect or criticism often does so because it allows him to maintain control without any effort or responsibility. Neglect enables him to avoid emotional investment, while constant criticism forces you to meet unrealistic standards he sets. Both of these behaviors aim to keep the relationship in his control, ensuring his needs are always met while yours are dismissed. Notably, these actions often stem from his own insecurities. By diminishing your value, he may be trying to compensate for the emptiness he feels inside. However, understanding his motives does not excuse his actions. Regardless of the reason, these behaviors are harmful and reflect a fundamental lack of respect for you as a partner. The first step in confronting this manipulation is to clearly identify its nature. Pay attention to signs of neglect and criticism in your relationship, and observe how they affect your emotions. If you constantly feel undeserving, unsupported, or anxious, that's a sign his behavior is negatively impacting your mental health. Establishing boundaries and clearly communicating your needs is crucial. Let him know how his actions are affecting you and what changes you expect. However, be prepared for resistance, as manipulators often deflect or deny their actions. If he refuses to acknowledge or change his behavior, it may be time to reevaluate the relationship. Manipulation through neglect and criticism doesn't reflect your worth. It reflects his inability or unwillingness to respect you. Recognizing these behaviors will empower you to take control of your emotional health and seek relationships built on mutual respect, care, and appreciation. One clear sign that a man doesn't value you is his refusal to engage in healthy communication. Communication is the foundation of any meaningful, lasting relationship. It allows both parties to express emotions, share perspectives, and resolve conflicts constructively. But when a man consistently avoids important conversations, shuts down meaningful discussions, or responds defensively or antagonistically, it's a clear indication that healthy communication is absent in the relationship. When a man refuses effective communication, it signals his lack of interest in investing in the emotional health of the relationship. This refusal not only creates distance, but also erodes trust and intimacy, two essential components for any relationship to thrive. Avoidance is a common way for a man to demonstrate disrespect and lack of care through poor communication. When issues arise in the relationship, instead of addressing them, he chooses to ignore them. For example, when you attempt to share feelings of neglect or a lack of support, he might respond with something like, "Why do you always bring up problems?" Or, "Can't we just leave things as they are?" This avoidance not only leaves the issues unresolved, but also conveys the message that your emotions and concerns don't deserve his attention or effort. Avoidance can also manifest as a lack of initiative in important conversations. A man who values you will make an effort to check in on your emotional well-being, understand your needs, and plan for the future together. In contrast, a man who doesn't value you will completely avoid these conversations, leaving you uncertain about your place in the relationship. This disconnection creates an emotional void, making it difficult to build a sense of partnership or shared purpose with him. Another sign of poor communication is defensiveness. When facing issues or conflicts, a man who doesn't value you often reacts by blaming, justifying, or turning the criticism back on you. For example, if you express that his actions hurt you, he might respond with, "You're too sensitive," or "You're always looking for reasons to complain." These defensive reactions not only diminish the value of your feelings, but also divert the conversation away from the real issue, making it impossible for you to have a productive exchange. Denial or dismissal is also a form of poor communication that often accompanies defensiveness. A disrespectful man may downplay your concerns or dismiss them as unimportant. For instance, if you're upset about his repetitive behavior, he might say, "It's no big deal, you're just overreacting." These statements minimize your experience, making you feel unworthy of speaking up next time. When a man doesn't value you, one of the most hurtful actions he can take is refusing to communicate, especially when facing conflict. This behavior, often referred to as the silent treatment, is not merely a lack of communication. It's an emotional manipulation tactic. When he avoids answering questions, fails to address your concerns, or even ignores your presence, he's controlling the situation while leaving you feeling powerless and frustrated. It's like being caught in a storm without knowing what to do, unable to express everything you've been holding inside. The silent treatment is particularly dangerous because it creates an environment of insecurity and anxiety. When someone refuses to communicate, you're left to fill that void with your own thoughts and assumptions, which not only causes stress, but also leads to self-doubt. You begin questioning whether you're asking for too much, being too sensitive, or if you were wrong from the start. Over time, this habit weakens your self-confidence, leaving you walking on eggshells, always fearing that a small word or action could make him withdraw completely. In some cases, when you try to communicate, he may react with hostility rather than calmness and respect. He might raise his voice, use harsh language, or even call you hurtful names. This action not only breaks any chance of dialogue, but also creates a toxic environment where you feel unsafe to express your emotions or thoughts. Hostility in communication is a clear sign that he lacks the maturity and respect necessary for a healthy relationship. When a man refuses to engage in healthy conversations, the relationship inevitably suffers significant losses. First, it creates loneliness, as you feel your worries and concerns are constantly dismissed. Gradually, you'll begin withdrawing emotionally, creating a large gap between the two of you, turning the relationship into mere exchanges rather than a deep connection. This lack of connection diminishes intimacy and trust, the very elements necessary for a relationship to survive and flourish. The cost of poor communication is the inability to resolve conflicts, leaving issues unresolved and causing resentment to accumulate over time. Instead of facing and solving problems, you find yourself continually returning to them, each time extending the tension and frustration inside you. When issues are left unresolved, they repeat themselves, creating a cycle of disappointment and dissatisfaction. As such, unresolved conflicts slowly erode the foundation of the relationship. They don't just linger in the air, they spread into other aspects of how you interact with each other. The refusal to communicate effectively not only harms the relationship, but also negatively impacts your emotional and mental health. When your feelings and concerns are consistently dismissed, you may begin to doubt yourself, wondering if you're asking for too much simply by wanting to be heard. Over time, this damages your self-esteem, making you more willing to tolerate bad behavior and unintentionally maintain an unhealthy cycle of interaction. In a healthy relationship, both parties commit to open, honest, and respectful communication. This is not just about listening to each other's viewpoints, but also acknowledging each other's feelings and working together to resolve conflicts constructively. A man who truly values you will make the effort to understand your perspective, even when he doesn't agree with you. He will approach discussions with empathy and a willingness to find common ground, rather than simply remaining silent or dismissing your concerns. Communication is the key to any relationship, and within that, responsibility is an indispensable element. A man who truly values you will be aware of his actions and always be willing to correct things that have hurt you. He will not deflect blame or resist, but will acknowledge your feelings and work with you to find a resolution. This respect and trust will create a solid foundation, allowing the relationship to grow and thrive. If a man constantly avoids important conversations, responds defensively, or even engages in behaviors like shutting down communication, it's a clear sign that he doesn't genuinely care about the relationship. Recognizing these signs is the first step in protecting yourself, reclaiming the respect and communication you deserve. While you might address poor communication through open dialogue and setting boundaries, if he refuses to engage in this process, he may lack the ability or the desire to build a deep and lasting relationship. Communication is non-negotiable and essential in any relationship. Communication is the bridge that connects two people, helping them navigate challenges, share joy, and build a shared future. If a man refuses to engage in this critical aspect of the relationship, it might be time to reevaluate whether this relationship truly contributes to your emotional stability and mental health. The relationships we choose to enter deeply shape us, from our confidence to our peace of mind, and even our sense of what we deserve. Recognizing the signs of someone who doesn't value you is not just about identifying harmful behavior, but also about reclaiming your power, voice, and right to be treated with respect and care. Every conversation, every decision, every action carries a message about how others perceive you. However, the truth is, their view doesn't define you. What matters is whether you accept or reject how they treat you. The moment you realize that their lack of respect is a reflection of their shortcomings, not yours, you will begin to step into your true power. Facing these truths is never easy, and you won't always be ready to confront the behavioral patterns that trap you in an unworthy relationship. But remember, you have the right to walk away from anything that harms your mental well-being. You have the right to ask for better, not because you're demanding too much, but because you deserve more than something temporary and insufficient. The question now is, what will you choose? Will you hold on to what's holding you back, or will you open yourself to a greater possibility? A relationship built on mutual respect, care, and appreciation. The choice is yours, and it all begins with realizing your own worth. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope the messages and lessons we shared today will help you reconsider your worth in all relationships. Remember, you deserve to be loved and respected, and never settle for anything less. If you have a personal story or issues you'd like to share, please leave your comments below. We're always here to listen, and we'll create videos addressing the challenges you're facing. Don't forget to like and share this video to spread these positive messages to more people. And subscribe so you don't miss any valuable content in the future. Together, we will continue the journey of building a better and more meaningful life. Wishing you strength and motivation on your path.